Yo, fishing squad. Welcome back to Fishing 24 Hours, your go-to channel for epic fishing adventures, pro tips, and stories that get your heart pumping. Today, we're tackling a game changer, secrets to choosing the perfect fishing spot, whether you're casting in a lake, river, pond, or canal. Picking the wrong spot means your float sits dead still while fish cruise by, ignoring your bait. Don't sweat it. This video will break down how to pick the best spot based on terrain, season, and signs of fish. Plus tricks to read water flow and find where fish hang out, turning America's rivers and lakes into your personal fish hunting playground. Grab an ice-cold soda, kick back, and let's dive into this adventure across the USA's waterways. It all started one crisp morning on the Sacramento River in California, where the water flowed gently under a clear sky, willows lining the banks, and no shade in sight. The carp and bass were nowhere to be found. My crew and I showed up, armed with cornmeal bait and worms, casting near the bank pumped to fill our buckets. But our floats just sat there, teased by tiny fish nibbling away. I was ready to call it quits when my buddy Jake, our group's gearhead, who's always testing new tricks, grinned and said, "Yo, casting by the bank like that won't cut it for big fish. Look for bubbles, muddy bottoms, or river bends. Spread some chum, and the big ones will swarm." I took his advice, scanned the current, found a spot with a gentle swirl near some reeds, and spread fishy chum. In under 7 minutes, my float dove, and I reeled in a 6-pound carp, thrashing like a rock star in the Sacramento's muddy water. The crew went nuts, hollering under the morning sun. That day, I hooked more big fish, my bucket overflowing, grinning ear to ear. That's when it hit me. The right spot is the key to unlocking river treasures. This video will spill all the secrets on picking the perfect fishing spot in rivers. Lakes, ponds, or canals, from analyzing terrain and seasons to spotting fish signs and reading water flow. I'll explain why location is make or break, how to choose spots, read water, pick gear, nail timing, master techniques, share stories from the Sacramento River and Guntersville Lake, plus tips for beginners and safety notes. These tricks work across America's waterways, from California's winding Sacramento to Alabama's sprawling Guntersville Lake, helping you land carp, bass, bluegill, and catfish like a pro. Let's dive in. Picking the right spot is the secret to catching big fish. In shallow rivers and lakes like the Sacramento or Guntersville, with little shade, gentle flow, or murky water, fish gather in specific zones. Carp and bluegill love muddy lake edges, grassy banks, or river bends where the current slows. Bass hide near reeds, fallen logs, or still water. Catfish lurk in deep bottoms, near outflows or swirling currents. Pick the wrong spot, like casting mid-lake at Guntersville with no fish signs, and your float's dead, with only small fry bothering you. I've fished countless trips, and the right spot makes all the difference. In lakes like Guntersville, look for bubbles, fish wakes, or shadows cruising. Muddy edges, 3 to 6 feet deep, are where carp and bluegill gather. Near reeds or overhanging willows, you'll find bass hiding. Watch the water. Steady small bubbles mean fish feeding. Cast at lake edges 6 to 8 inches deep and spread fishy chum 15 minutes before. On the Sacramento River, pick bends where the current slows or grassy banks, 3 to 5 feet deep. Catfish love deep bottoms, 6 to 10 feet near outflows. Pro tip: stand against the sun, spotting fish shadows or wakes to pinpoint spots. In warm seasons, May to August, fish hug banks near grass or shade, midwater at 4 to 6 inches. In cool seasons, November to February, they drop 2 deeper bottoms, 8 to 12 inches, near mud. At Guntersville, I saw fish wakes by a muddy edge, cast there, and bluegill hit fast. Reading water terrain is a must-have skill. On the Sacramento, gentle currents create small swirls where carp gather to feed. Look for watercolor shifts, from murky to clear, or where flow slows those are fish hotspots. At Guntersville, still water with floating leaves or branches hides bass. Use a long stick to check depth, finding soft mud or underwater structures like logs. If reeds move or water ripples lightly, big fish are near. I wasted hours on the Sacramento casting mid-river, but switching to a bend-hooked carp instantly. Gear needs to match your spot. Use a 12 to 15 foot rod for carp and bluegill, 9 to 12 feet for bass, 15 to 18 feet for catfish. A 14-foot rod is ideal for the Sacramento's open banks. Pick a 2,000 to 3,000 reel for carp and bluegill, 3,000 to 4,000 for bass and catfish. A 2,500 reel balances most fish. Main line at 0.25 to 0.30 millimeters for carp and bluegill. 0.30 to 0.35 millimeters for bass and catfish. Leader at 0.20 to 0.25 millimeters. At Guntersville, a 0.22 millimeters leader hid the hook well. Use sensitive 2 to 3 gram floats, red or yellow, for carp and bluegill. 4 gram floats for catfish. No float for bass. Weights at 2 to 3 grams for carp and bluegill, 3 to 4 grams for catfish. Hook size 6 to 8 for carp and bluegill, 4 to 6 for bass, 5 to 7 for catfish. Bait and chum must suit your spot. Carp and bluegill love honey-mixed cornmeal or worms. Cast to the bottom 6 to 8 inches. Mix 1 part toasted cornmeal, 1 part wheat flour, half a part mashed sweet potato, and a tablespoon of honey. Bass prefer live shrimp or shiny lures. Cast near reeds. Catfish take fishy chum or offal. Cast deep, 8 to 12 inches. Spread 10 to 14 ounces of chum per session. Split into 3 to 4 spreads, near grassy banks or mud. On the Sacramento, fishy chum gathered carp in 8 minutes. Timing impacts spot choice. Carp and bluegill feed best early morning, 4:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. and late afternoon, 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. near banks. Bass hunt at dawn or dusk near reeds. Catfish bite best at night, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. or early morning in deep spots. Avoid midday heat, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in warm seasons. Fish stay near banks, mid-water at 4 to 6 inches. In cool seasons, they drop to 8 to 12 inches. Technique depends on the spot. At Guntersville, cast gently to the bottom, 6 to 8 inches, with a sensitive float set to balance 8. Fish, 4. Watch the float. Big fish sink it steadily. Small fish twitch it. Wait for a full sink. Set lightly. On the Sacramento, cast near bends or reeds, twitching every 3 seconds for bass. Catfish, cast deep near outflows. Wait for a full float dive. At Guntersville, I lost a carp by setting too soon, so patience is key. When big fish bite, set firmly. Keep the rod at 45 degrees. Reel steadily, avoiding hard pulls. Stay flexible in rivers and lakes. Watch other anglers if they're landing big fish. Ask about their spot. On the Sacramento, I copied a guy's river bend spot and hooked carp fast. If your float's still, move or reach 'em. Look for bubbles, wakes, or fish shadows. Stay quiet, avoid splashing. At Guntersville, casting by a muddy edge kept bluegill coming. One foggy morning on the Sacramento River, with willows swaying and the current gentle, carp were hiding. My buddies cast mid-river, their floats dead. I spotted a bend with a slow swirl near reeds, spread fishy chum, and cast honey-mixed bait with a 2.5 gram red float. In 7 minutes, my float dove, and I reeled in a 6-pound carp, thrashing wildly. The crew shouted, "That spot's gold." I hooked more big fish, my bucket heavy, a California memory for the ages. Another time, late afternoon at Guntersville Lake, with murky water and cypress trees looming, bluegill were picky. My friends cast mid-lake, no luck. I saw bubbles by a muddy edge, spread chum, cast worms with a 3-gram orange float, and it sank in 8 minutes. Up came a 4-pound bluegill, shining in the sun. The gang cheered. That's the spot. I added more big fish, feeling like the king of the lake. New to fishing, look for bubbles, muddy edges, or grassy banks. Cast to the bottom for carp and bluegill, near reeds for bass, deep for catfish. Note where fish bite. If your float's still, move or chum. Fish early mornings, late afternoons, or nights for catfish. Stay quiet, be patient, safety first. Avoid slippery banks on the Sacramento after rain. At Guntersville, wear a life jacket near outflows. Keep noise low. Avoid shadows. Use a light at night. Store bait in a cool, sealed container. Prep is everything. Check sunrise and sunset times via apps for prime windows. 4:30 a.m. to 7 a.m., 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., or 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. for catfish. Pack baits, honey mixed cornmeal, worms, shrimp, fish meal. Store in a cool container. Bring a 14-foot rod, 2,500 reel, 0.30 millimeters line, size 4 to 8 hooks, 2 to 4 gram weights, 2 to 4 gram floats. Pack a chair, sunshade, non-slip shoes. Watch for bubbles or fish shadows. If no bites in 15 minutes, move or re-chum. Level up by reading currents, finding swirls, or adding pandan to chum. In crowded waters, find a quiet corner. These tricks make you a pro. The right spot turns America's rivers and lakes into big fish playgrounds. Bubbles, muddy bottoms, and slow currents signal fish. Every cast in the right spot, with fish swarming under willows or cypress shade, feels like a true adventure. When your float sinks, heart pounding, rod gripped tight, that's the angler's moment. Rookie or pro, these tips make you the boss of any water. That's a wrap, squad. We've cracked the spot selection code, from terrain to technique. Hope you're pumped to test it. Smash like. Share with your fishing crew, and subscribe to Fishing 24 Hours for more epic guides. Got a killer spot story? Drop it in the comments, I'm dying to hear. Tight lines, monster catches, see you on the next adventure.